And welcome to Good Game, the show for gamers by gamers. I'm Hex.
And I'm Bajo, hello, and this week we're going to look at the pile of shame, games you haven't finished, and we find out why.
We'll be reviewing the latest from RPG experts Obsidian Entertainment with the espionage role-playing action of Alpha Protocol.
And coming to grips with the latest UFC 2010 Undisputed.
Definitely looks like he's cut. Oh, that head kick landed. It is all over. Knocked out with the head kick.
But first, can you guess the game for this week?
Listen, big man, if someone is thanking you, the least you can do is listen. And while you're at it, we need food and some money. Some fine wine will do nicely for me.
Of course you can, but we'll tell the rest of Australia at the end of the show. News time, Hex. No, it's my turn, isn't it? Let's go do that.
So lonely.
The US Navy is considering using games like We Fit to get its new recruits into shape. The US Navy's Surgeon General Vice Admiral Adam Robinson has observed that the Americans now signing up for military service are in worse shape than they've ever been. The increasingly sedentary lifestyle of young Americans has left new recruits ill-equipped for the rigors of boot camp, resulting in more training-related injuries. Admiral Robinson hopes that by using games such as We Fit and Dance Dance Revolution, and then moving on to the more strenuous workouts, the rate of training-related injuries can be dramatically reduced. It's normal for online games to ban cheaters, but ArenaNet, the publisher of Guild Wars, has gone to extraordinary lengths to dispose of those who use bots to rot the system. In a recent purge of 3,700 cheaters, the offenders weren't just deleted from the system, their characters were visited in-game by the Guild Wars Angel of Death, Doom. With a sweep of his scythe, Doom struck down the offenders, incinerating their avatars in front of stunned onlookers. Guild Wars design director James Finney has stated that if you cheat today, your account may be terminated at any time in the future. Cheaters in MMOs should most definitely fear the Reaper. Concern is rising amongst real-time strategy fans over the region locking of Blizzard's upcoming RTS epic StarCraft 2. Aussie gamers will be locked out of both the American and European servers for the 26th Century Space epic. Instead, Aussie gamers will be bunched in on regional servers with gamers from New Zealand, Indonesia, the Philippines, Malaysia, Singapore, and Thailand. Blizzard has stated that this segregation will be necessary to maximize performance and minimize lag.
Remember that, or I will really get under your skin.
Mark Hamill may be most famous for playing Luke Skywalker, but he's become an accomplished voice actor in recent years, appearing in such video games as Darksiders, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, and Batman Arkham Asylum. Batman!
You had to spoil everything, didn't you?
While Hamill will be returning as the voice of the Joker in Arkham Asylum 2, he has announced that it will be, unfortunately, his final performance of the insane clown-faced criminal.
This guy can kick so high you don't even believe it. It hurt him. Wow. Those kicks are just as dangerous as any in the sport.
There have been UFC games for a number of years now, but aside from last year's Undisputed 2009, they've all been rubbish, falling somewhere between a wrestling game and a third-person brawler. UFC 2010 isn't so much a new game as it is an update, but don't let that put you off because it's really an improvement in every conceivable way.
Yes, for a start, the career mode has been given a significant tweak. Character creation is far more robust, and not just in the way your fighter looks. One of the major problems with the first game was the limited selection of fighting styles, limiting the variation between fighters. 2010 introduces new fighting styles, including Sambo, Karate, and Greco-Roman wrestling.
Everybody wanted to learn how to wrestle because they knew they were going to have to deal with this gigantic gorilla picking you up, dumping you on your head, and punching your face in.
Once you've created your fighter, it's time to jump into your career, starting as a rookie about to turn pro. After a win, your fighter joins the World Fighting Alliance, which is kind of like a noob league.
Our boy here is going to be making the jump from amateur to professional.
Fighting and training until Dana White, the UFC president, takes notice and invites you to join the big league.
More time in career mode is spent training rather than fighting. You'll be learning new techniques, getting sponsors, giving interviews, and resting. But that doesn't make things dull. Balancing training, injury, and fatigue is no small task.
I found the balance really quite difficult to get a handle on. Fighter stats atrophy if you don't train them often enough, or if you rest too long to regain stamina before a fight. When you do finally get to a point where you really understand the nuances of the training, it's a very strategic, very satisfying game.
More than any other technical fighter, UFC 2010 is not friendly to newcomers. The controls are incredibly complicated, and that makes them incredibly convoluted. Button mashing won't get you anywhere. That is unless you're playing as GSP. His spinning face smashes are devastating even in the hands of a dirty noob.
And good right hand counter. Spinning back fist on the button. Oh, he buried him there, Joe. Oh, that's it. This fight is over.
Yeah, the right thumbstick is still the focus of pretty much every action outside of punches and kicks. Clinches, grapples, takedowns, transitions, defenses, and submissions are all achieved via flicks, quarter circle or half circle movements, and frantic spinning. Some serious thumb exercises are recommended if you don't want to develop RSI.
There's also a new ability attached to the right thumbstick. Sways allow the player to quickly dodge out of the way of an attack and deliver a counterpunch capable of doing more damage.
Oh, head kick.
I think there's a little too much emphasis on the right thumbstick as far as controls go.
Yeah, it really does feel a little busy. Trying to be precise with small and large transitions in the heat of the moment can really take some work.
Looking for the arm triangle. Wow, great job done defensively. And into full mount.
The ground game has been overhauled, so everything feels a lot smoother. There's more transitional phases now, and submissions can be made from more positions. Gameplay feels the same, but definitely looks better. There's more standing animations as well. Attacks sync better with the animations, so you can throw more attacks from more angles.
Title mode and title defense are kind of like the arcade modes for this game. In both, you can choose the number of opponents, 8, 10 or 12, and you fight your way through them to win the belt, or you fight them off to retain your title. It's fun for a quick burst of action, but the AI can be overly punishing.
Nice counter right hand.
The game uses an adaptive AI system that increases difficulty of successive bouts. The first 5 or so matches at most difficulty levels in title or defense mode will be pretty easy, but after that, things get messy. At times, the difficulty jump is a little too steep. You'll quickly jump from first round knockouts to having everything you throw countered, and then you'll get submitted. You really need to know the ins and outs of combat here, otherwise it'll feel like the game is cheating when really it's just a learning computer.
Yeah, there are only so many times you can be beaten by an overly skilled opponent before you really want to put the controller down and walk away. The AI is far better in career mode. The increase in difficulty there is gradual and it feels more natural.
On the single-player side of things, there's a classic fight mode that'll let you play some of the classic matches in UFC history. You can try and emulate the match exactly by playing the real-life winner, or you can play the loser and try to change history.
Yeah, but the multiplayer is really where it's at with this game. I mean, it's all well and good to fight against AI opponents, but it's so much more satisfying to be punching it out with a mate. Or a stranger. Punching anyone, really.
He's getting jacked here. He's in big fight. Oh, he caught him on the button. Good. Oh, my good Superman punch. It's over.
Yes, real brains are much more fun to pound. Tournament mode is enjoyable. Choose your fighters, and then the game will pit you against each other in a bunch of matches until there is only one champion.
Yeah, I also really liked that you can form online fight camps, so that you can train against other players rather than just the AI.
Animations are still rather awkward at times, and we did spot the odd graphical glitch. There's a few issues with clipping, but for the most part, it's a great looking game.
I liked the character modelling of the real fighters. There are 104 in the roster, split over the different divisions, and each of them really looks like their real life counterpart. And it's not just the faces either. Everything about the real fighters is nicely accurate, right down to little details like the ugly scar on Big Nogs' back.
Like we said before, this isn't a beginner-friendly game. It'll take you more than a few hours just to learn the basics, and then even longer if you wish to master them. But there is a joy that comes in mastering the complexity of a fighter like this, so I'm giving it 8.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, it's a little too daunting for newcomers, and the AI is a little punishing, but the multiplayer is great, and it's still the best UFC game so far. It's an 8 from me.
We spoke to one of the developers behind the game, and you can find that full interview on the website.
The mic. He's hurt badly. He's down. He's getting jacked here. He's in big trouble.
When I was younger, I wanted to be a plastic surgeon until my world was shattered when my mom and all her old friends told me that I'd be working on them and not very attractive women, which kind of ruined that whole thing for me. So, probably an artist.
Somebody call the doctor. My swagger is so sick. This beat so sick. My flow so sick. My click so sick. And my car so sick. And I'm putting alright.
The new king of the skating block is back with lucky number 3 in the series, and of course we're talking about Skate 3.
Yes, you might as well just refer to our reviews of the first 2 games to get a pretty good idea of what's involved here.
Yeah, it's starting to feel a bit same old, isn't it, Badge? They're going down the yearly release path with this franchise, which means that the game really is just a slight refinement of the last one rather than anything mind-blowingly new and original like the first Skate was.
Yeah, but it's not too much of a bad thing in Skate's case, as they've really got the basics of a great skating game down. The flick-it control system is just so much fun to use, you know. It's about precise timing, muscle memory, and how you approach a run, which is really what skating is all about. But it's just as you say, Hex, I do feel like we've played this all before.
Yeah, but anyway, let's talk about what's actually new here. First off, special mention to the tutorials, not only because the coach is the hilarious Jason Lee of My Name is Earl fame, but also because they're just great at teaching you all of the many different moves of the game, which actually translates into a very deep understanding of skating terminology.
Here, you're gonna learn the basics, you're gonna get good, and if you don't, I'm gonna break your board. Coach Frank.
Yeah, they do a good job of showing you a trick and then letting you practice it until you nail it. I especially love the Matrix-like stopping of time in midair to practice those big air tricks.
The games as a whole felt a lot easier as well, which I welcome since there were some controller snapping moments in the other games. Others may miss the challenge, but I thought it felt well balanced. Most challenges are just beat this score, but that'll usually just get you to own the challenge rather than kill it.
Anyway, this time around, the city of San Van Elona is gone in favour of the all-new skate-friendly city of Port Carverton. There are no more annoying security guards, and no one's going to put skate stops all over the place. And there are some awesome spots in the city with some massive hills and plenty of skate parks to shred away in. There's even a shark to jump.
You start off as a renowned pro skater in charge of your very own startup skateboard company. There's no businessy micromanagement to worry about though, so it means that you'll just need to recruit members for your team as you play, and every challenge you complete helps advertise your brand, which in turn sells boards, which is key to progressing through the career. And really that's about all the story you're going to find here. This game is just about skating, and it really doesn't bother to tell any tale outside of the opening cinematic, which doesn't really tell any kind of story either.
They've added a fantastic suite of online and co-op features, so more or less everything you do can be played with your mates or randoms, and there's a nice incentive to do so as well by giving you a few more boards sold per challenge. Plus, some of the challenges are a lot more fun when you play them with real people. They've really meshed offline and online into one cohesive experience, and I also like that if your uploaded screens and movies get views, you earn royalties, which just means more boards sold.
Did you get many royalties?
Not at all, but I like it in principle.
Fair enough. You know, I was a bit disappointed that the challenges themselves are mostly the same old fare we've seen before. You know, own the spots, death races and whatnot. I would have liked to have seen a few new ideas in the mix. There are a few new team photo challenges, but they were a bit meh.
Yeah, and Skate 2 did a great job of adding in new moves that weren't in Skate 1, but here they've really only added a couple, such as dark slides and underslides, which are pretty cool, but certainly not game changers.
The skate park creator is a nice addition as well, and I'm sure the community will come up with some awesome parks. It's good they put more focus on creating and sharing parks rather than just pushing stuff around. Although I found the game got really framey in some of the parks I'd created. Hopefully a patch could fix that.
Getting off your board is much easier now. It was very wonky-donky in Skate 2, but it's much smoother here. It's still a little wonky, especially when you try to jump on people.
Yeah, but I doubt that'll really bug most people, Badge.
Bug me.
Still, I liked how you could get skating from any position while on foot. So you can run up to a rail, jump and drop on your board down halfway through the jump for a grind.
It is running on the engine from the first Skate, so it is starting to show its age graphically. Some of the backgrounds especially are woeful, but the animations and physics of the skaters and their boards is still generally excellent. You can spend hours just admiring how smooth pulling off tricks look or how painful those big stacks seem. Especially with the replay editor, you can see the attention to detail in those animations.
I love the soundtrack as well. There's a really great mix of music from the mandatory punk and hip-hop to some hair metal and everything in between, including Neil Diamond. They've also gone and got Mark Mothersbaugh of Devo fame, Del the Funky Homo Sapien, and John King of the Dust Brothers to compose some original tunes for the game, which kick in when you're skating well in certain spots. You know, I found myself skating along, bobbing my head, thinking this beat is fat more than a few times. Final thoughts, Bajo?
Well, despite feeling like I've played this all before, it's still the best skate to date in my opinion. Fans of the series will enjoy all the new refinements and the robust online modes, while newcomers will really benefit from those tutorials and slightly easier difficulty. There's hours of skating bliss to be had here. I just hope Skate 4 gets a new engine and maybe some new modes, but this one is an 8 from me.
Yeah, you know, it may not be better than the others enough to warrant a purchase if you're still content skating around with the previous games, but if you haven't picked up a skate yet or you just can't get enough of it, you won't be disappointed. And I agree that there's enough of a refinement here to make this the best of the bunch. It's an 8 from me too.
Good game.
Another one for the pile. Have you ever sunk heaps of hours into a game and then, for some reason or another, never bothered to finish it? Well, you're not alone. Studies I've conducted using science show that most people don't finish most of their games. But games aren't cheap, so why do we walk away? With a few exceptions, you wouldn't walk away from a movie that you paid good money to see, would you? So why do we do it with our games? There are plenty of reasons why we don't always slog it out to the end. In the old days of arcade gaming, games were designed to be difficult on purpose. They'd chew you up, steal your coins, and then spit you out again. It wasn't until years later, when we started taking games into our own homes, that things really started to change. Us gamers are a fickle bunch. One small sticking point or a short lull in gameplay, and we can put that controller down for good. You want me to go all the way back to the other side of town just to deliver a letter? Yo, that is straight up whack. I just gave you 10 Bortus, and now you want 10 more? Yo, that be straight up whack. And that's just for starters. Unfortunately, not everyone has 42 hours to grind for gear in some epic RPG, or the time it takes to get reputation in an open world game. Real life can interfere. Let's do the math. Say you game 2 hours a night, and you do that 5 nights a week, and then maybe a 6-hour session on the weekend. You might consider yourself greater than or equal to hardcore, but that's hardly going to make a dent in a game like Fallout 3, where you can spend 80 hours or more just shooting cockroaches in the face. And what makes this even worse is that almost every day now, a brand spanking new AAA game is coming out to distract us. Ooh, shiny. Of course, you can always come back to a game later, but then you're lumped into the middle of a story with no real idea of what's going on. What was I doing? Sometimes games are just slow going. No one wants to sit through 20 hours of Final Fantasy XIII until the game actually starts to get good. That's assuming there's good bits to get to in the first place. If only I had an anti-boredom spell. Not finishing games is a problem that some developers are trying to cure, and one way they're doing this is by making games more accessible. Games like Left 4 Dead and Alan Wake have dynamic difficulty, which adjusts the challenge based on your noob level. Some games like Dragon Age will even let you change the difficulty mid-fight. Other games like Red Dead Redemption ask you to skip a checkpoint if you're a bit of a crap cowboy. You're asking me if you want me to skip a chapter? Yo, that'd be straight up whack. But the worst part is when developers nerf a game because not enough people finish the previous ones, which is what we suspect happened to God of War 3, because even this brainless sweet potato clocked that one without a walkthrough. Good work, Mr. Spuddy. You expect books and movies to have a decent ending, but games have always been tainted with bad storylines, so until that changes, we're probably always going to have this problem. I know Battletoads is definitely in my pile of shame, but what's in yours? Ooh, I haven't finished that one. Alpha Protocol is the name of a secret US government department that does all the things the government needs to deny taking any part in. It's also the term used for an agent that's gone rogue. Mike Thornton is Alpha Protocol's newest recruit, but after failing a mission, what a noob, he goes rogue himself and has to save the world on his own.
Mike, what did you do?
Erasing my tracks and the weapons.
We've been excited about Alpha Protocol for some time now for one main reason, and that reason is Chris Avallone, co-founder of Obsidian Entertainment and the driving force behind some of the greatest RPGs ever, including Fallout 2, Planescape Torment, and Neverwinter Nights 2. But does Obsidian's new RPG live up to the lofty standards of its past work?
Let's find out.
Yes.
The game is a mixture of third-person action and RPG, and the RPG elements include a skill customization system that allow you to go down a weapon specialization path or simply stealth it up.
The skill system isn't hugely comprehensive compared to most RPGs, but it does offer some nice character customization. Each level of skill unlocks a new ability or increases the strength of an ability that you've previously unlocked, so you feel like you're constantly being rewarded for leveling.
Yeah, and for some reason in this game, when I was looking through all the different abilities you can unlock, all I could think was, I want them now! Give me them! Now, now, now! Many of the actions you perform on a regular basis will unlock a perk, such as talking to contacts, sneaking, picking locks, disabling cameras, and subduing guards. These perks are kind of like achievements or trophies, but they also have an effect on the gameplay.
Nothing I couldn't handle. Got shot at, shot back. It's an old story.
You just like to live dangerously then?
I invited you here, didn't I?
The conversation system reminded me a little bit of Mass Effect. You choose a general mood for the response, and it's interesting hearing what Mike comes out with, although sometimes he comes across smarmy instead of suave.
So, where's the weapons trainer?
I'm it. Sexist much?
Well, depending on the reaction, you bet.
I see.
Decisions are made in real time, so you really have to pay attention to clues on the screen or what the other person is saying. By choosing a particular mood, it may raise or lower the person's impression of you.
One thing that's great about the system is that all the conversation choices are valid.
I think my gun is working just fine.
Get friendly enough with some of the female characters and be prepared for some tame James Bondian bedroom shenanigans.
Oh.
I was worried when I came back something had happened to you.
Just dreaming.
Good ones, I hope.
Very.
How Thornton acts with people has a trickle-down effect throughout the game. Reputations precede, Bajo.
I do like a good preceding reputation. It kind of makes you feel like what you did in the game matters. There's a number of ways to approach most of the missions, but they usually involve shooting face. It's pop and stop gunplay, but the goons won't make it easy on you. You can go in guns are blazing, but that'll usually get you killed. But heck, sometimes you just gotta go in there and flail those SMGs. The skill system has 4 gun skills: pistol, rifle, shotgun, and SMG. Leveling up your weapon skills will also give you abilities such as a bullet time style thing and increasing accuracy, damage, and stability.
The stealth mechanics are fairly straightforward. Crouching lowers Thornton's profile. Moving slowly makes him quieter. Sneaking up on an enemy from behind allows you to take them out silently with one hit, while increasing the stealth skill allows Thorntons to become invisible for a short period of time, reducing enemy visibility range, and gives the spy the ability to see where every enemy is on the map.
The Clearinghouse is an online black market store for weapons, gadgets, guns, and intel. I quite liked getting all the little modifications for the weapons hex. It's fun collecting these things. These mods can dramatically increase the effectiveness of a weapon, but many have cons with their pros. A silencer can aid in stealth takedowns. A larger magazine might make a gun more inaccurate, but can spray a whole lot more bullets at the enemy. Armor can also be modded for extra protection, stealth, melee, damage, and the like.
Having the right mission intel is just as important as having the right gear. Buying intel can reduce the amount of enemies that you'll face on a mission, or pinpoint a hidden cache of weapons or cash that you can steal.
Russians. What the hell are they doing here?
It's a nice system for adding depth to the mission design, but also for adding difficulty. The less intel you buy, the harder the mission will be, and I liked that.
Yeah, I like that too. It's kind of like playing a card before a battle. At the end of every mission, you'll be given a rundown on just how well Mike did, and all of these missions factor into the final ending of the game, not just the last one.
Yeah, apparently there's 32 different possible endings you can play, but I just don't think there's enough replay value if you want to see more than 1 or 2.
Yeah, the problems in this game really start to occur when it blurs the line between RPG and third-person shooter. There's a real sense of freedom during the missions, but when it comes to the boss battles, it feels like the choices you make don't add up to much.
I definitely agree. I chose to play a stealth character that specialised in killing enemies silently and sneaking around and stealing everything that wasn't nailed down, but when it came to the boss battles, I just felt like I was penalised for not maximising a gun skill. During one of the battles, I was taking the guy out hand to hand. When his health got down far enough, it triggered a cutscene showing the two of us hunkered down at opposite ends of the room and shooting it out.
Reported hero. Keep talking. Lets me know where to shoot.
Enough of this.
Half the dialogue that followed talked about a gunfight that never happened.
And the final missions in the game are pretty much straight up action too, and unfortunately it can't help but feel a bit hollow after all those decisions and choices you've made before them. We reviewed the PS3 version and it had some pretty erratic frame rates during the cutscenes. Also, some of the characters tend to shiver, and all the flashback missions had this weird street glass overlay over the top of them. But for me it was the motion blur that I didn't like. It was a bit ugly. It was kind of like they were holding grease paper over different parts of the screen.
Yeah, I didn't notice that too much. I was too distracted by Mike Thornton's incredibly ungainly waddle. Alpha Protocol is more of an action game than an RPG, and if you like that action, then I think you'll get a reasonable amount of excitement out of this espionage romp. It's 7 out of 10 from me.
There's a good story here, and some of the characters are memorable. The script will railroad you at times, but I really dug the RPG stuff, Hex, so I'm pushing it up to a 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens. Extra half on that one, compared to your score.
Good game.
So did you guess the game for this week?
Let's get him, boy.
It was the 1999 Sega Dreamcast game Sword of the Berserk from Japanese developer Yuki's. Based on a popular manga series, the game followed the exploits of a warrior named Guts and his very large sword. Yuki's were also the team behind UFC Undisputed 2010.
Well, that's it for this week, but we'll be burning virtual rubber next time with Blur.
And for Wii owners who want to get their jump on, we reviewed the Wii version of Prince of Persia this weekend over on ABC3 on Good Game SP.
Plus, we point and click our way through the Aussie indie adventure game Jolly Rover. And thanks to everyone who live tweeted with us again tonight.
Yes, and you can also catch us on Facebook or the forums. Why not stop by and enter this week's caption comp and win a mystery prize?
What is it?
It's mystery.
I bet you it's something gross.
You're gross. Bajo out.
Hex out. Buying intel can reduce the number of enemies that you'll face in a mission or pinpoint a hidden cache of poo. Which will be no use to you because no one wants a cache of poo.
I do.